Hello everyone and welcome to the newly resurrected Magic Stew. My name is Kyle Otte. I'm one of the co-creators here. Joining me, of course, is the other co-creator of Magic Stew,
Liam Duffy.
And we have a lot of thoughts on Ixalan. We are fresh off of a pre-release weekend. It is also the weekend that the Star Trek premiere is happening, so the newly resurrected Star Trek show. Yeah, it's tonight.
Discovery. That's
yes,
tonight.
yes, Discovery's tonight. And we lost Liam. Give me a second, folks. Come back. Come back.
Rocket pack!
And he's back, folks. We will open this later. Sorry to tease, but we're going to do it later. We have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things to get through today. I actually think we need to show some praise for you, sir. Liam is the actual Pirate King, went 5-0 in his pre-release. Yeah, feeling good, feeling
Feels
fresh,
pretty good.
feeling fresh off
Yep.
the victory. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yep.
I put in a much more humble 3-2. We're going to start actually by talking about our own personal pre-releases. Liam, I'm going to kick this off if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I went 3-2, had a lot of great bombs in my deck. One of those we will actually talk about a little bit later when we talk about specific cards. Unfortunately for me, a lot of bad curve considerations. I didn't have any type of splashable removal or on-color removal, which hurt me a bunch. And I also had a top-decked Unfriendly Fire in round 5, which actually stole my 4-1 victory. He was at 1. I had 15 points of damage to no creatures on board, and he had an empty hand and just top-decked it and killed me. That was my experience, but it was a ton of fun. Overall, I'd give the deck about a C+. 3-2 is pretty decent of a record. Tell us about your pre-release, Mr. 5-0.
All right.
The
So
Pirate King.
it was dinosaurs, green and white. When I opened my sealed pool, I sorted every tribe rather than color. When I saw that I had the biggest stack of dinosaurs, we went just green and white. Never lost a single round in all 5 matches. I have a lot of high praise for the dinosaurs in this set, and I think that in draft, I really expect dinosaurs to do very well, and I really can't wait. However, one thing that you're going to want to look out for is that everybody else is going to be thinking the same thing. So maybe let them fight over the dinosaurs and see what's trickling through.
And we will have a video on some Ixalan draft tech as we get a little bit deeper into the set. But speaking of the specific cards that made our decks good, we have some highlights from our set. I too played green and white with a little bit of a splash for my own Unfriendly Fire, and I have 2 standouts. We talked about those a little bit earlier. I mentioned one of them as my good piece of removal on color. I'm going to talk about Settle the Wreckage. So if you are not familiar with Settle the Wreckage, it is 2 colorless, 2 whites. It is an instant speed card, and you are allowed to exile any number of attacking creatures that your opponent controls. They are then allowed to search for a tapped basic land, put that onto the battlefield for each one of those creatures that you exile. And sometimes it is just kind of a conditional version of Path of Exile, and other times it is an absolute freaking blowout. It is not the card that you want when you're ahead of the game, but if it is a close game, if you are behind, it is amazing. There were times where I would just dome my opponent and kill 8 of his creatures. He didn't even have enough land to go look for at that point in the game.
So a lot of people were slamming that card prior to pre-release and saying this is going to be terrible, you're ramping your opponents. But
Yeah.
you're talking about doing this much later in the game where it's
Yes.
going to hurt them the most.
Now, I want to point out to our viewers at home, Sealed Deck is a much slower format. I don't know if it's going to be nearly as good in Draft, but in Sealed, when it was a lot slower, when it was a little more bomb-centric, when board stall was super, super common, which it is in Sealed Deck, that card was just an absolute back-breaking blowout. Just, it was amazing. And Liam, tell us one of your cards.
So one of the cards that I, believe it or not, I feel like won the game for me more than anything else was the Ancient Pteranodon. It's a common. It's 2 green and
6 colorless,
6
am I correct?
colorless.
6 colorless, yeah.
That's correct. So 8 mana total, but there's so much ramp to take advantage of. 9/9.
It's a lot of beef.
9/9 land creature. It just knocks everything else down. Get 2 of those on the board. Holy shit, they're done.
I'm going to talk to you guys about another beefy dinosaur, the Big Mac of dinosaurs, as I like to call him. Thundering Spineback. It was 7 mana, 5 colorless, 2 green for a 5/5 Dinosaur Lord. Gives all of your other dinosaurs +1/+1, and then for 6 mana at instant speed, you are allowed to make a 3/3 dinosaur token with trample. So essentially you're just pumping out 4/4s every single turn. That card was the standout highlight of my deck. If I couldn't kill them with Settle the Wreckage, I could overwhelm them with dinosaurs. I have nothing but praise for Thundering Spineback. I imagine that's going to be the curve topper for a lot of those aforementioned dinosaur draft decks. I love this card. I cannot heap enough praise on this. And it's an uncommon, which means chances are you'll be able to see it in your own drafts as well. I think, in my estimation, it was the best card that I played with or against in Sealed. I will go on record, including Jace. I played against a Jace, did not do anything. Thundering Spineback, every time it resolved, it either had to be instantly killed or won the game outright. So I have to give it to that card. It was the best thing I saw at pre-release.
I saw a lot of people playing that card, and I would have to concur. A lot of people are very excited to be playing that card, and their opponents tended to be somewhat forlorn.
Yeah, a little less excited if you were up against the Thundering Spineback.
Kinjali Sunwing, a 1 white, 2 colorless, flyer, 2/3, and it's the Thalia replacement. When your opponent's creatures come into play, they come into play tapped. That stalled everybody. Gave me plenty of time to get those Bronodons out. It was awesome. Not only was it stalling them, but it's flying over their creatures and smacking them in the face.
Windrake with extra toughness. I mean,
Yep.
that's Windrake's pretty good anyway.
Dowsing Dagger, equipment that when it hits your opponent, when the creature hits your opponent, it transforms. The land gives you 3 of any color. Get that on the creature early. Put it on a flyer. Hit them right off the bat, and you've got another 3 mana.
Especially put on the Sunwing. Yeah, put on the Sunwing. They can't even play a flyer or block it, and then all of a sudden you're like just you're off the races and just pumping out Brontodons. Love it.
Flip it the turn that you hit them the first time. Don't even try to keep getting your damage because you're going to get your bombs out now.
Yeah. Now, we've had a chance to play some games. I wore this shirt, which is a spaceman cruising on a unicorn, because this is how I feel after the very low amount of sleep that I've gotten this past weekend. So we've got a lot of things to talk about. Overall, I want to start by talking about the theme of Ixalan. Now, I did not go into this set having looked at a ton of stuff. I wanted to give all of you fine folks at home as much of a first impression as I possibly could. And I gotta say, the theme is a mixed bag. I'm going to touch on what I think is bad about the set first, and the reason we're going to touch on this is because the set does some really cool things. First things first, I want to say that the vampires and the merfolk in this set feel totally tacked on. They feel a little bit out of place. I see what they're kind of doing. If you are a fan of Odyssey block, which I am, it's one of the blocks I started playing in, you'll notice there's some definite parallels between the clerics in that block and the vampires in this one. However, everything the clerics in Onslaught did, they did better than the vampires in Ixalan do. And the merfolk, for a similar thing, trying to mimic the Simic, and unfortunately they're doing a much poorer job of that as well. They just felt really tacked on, a little out of place. I don't know, I can see what they're trying to do gameplay-wise, but it just falls flat. And the reason I want to touch on this first is because I think it actually takes away from the set's biggest strength, and what was actually my biggest worry. I thought dinosaurs and pirates were going to be corny. I am happy to say that I was wrong, and I wish that we just didn't have vampires and merfolks, because it detracts from what Wizard did, which was make which makes the dinosaurs feel just absolutely epic, and makes the pirates feel absolutely fun to play. I cannot stress this enough. I know I played pirates and dinosaurs. I actually had 2 decks, so I could sort of side in between decks if I wanted to, and they both felt great, both thematically and from a gameplay perspective. I felt powerful playing dinosaurs. I think that the theme of those was fleshed out. The Aztecs worshiping the dinosaurs and using them as like both battling figures and as gods is really cool. I love the different pirate crews. I think that it's great. There's like a Deadeye, like there are a bunch of like deposed aristocrats sailing around going, I am better than you because my father was the Earl of whatever. And there's like a guy who just like makes big ass cannons. I love it. I love that there's literally just a whole set of goblin pirates just like, I'm gonna make this cannon. Does it work? Who knows?
Let's look at the vampires and the merfolk real quick.
Yes.
When you're looking at this block in particular, the vampires and the merfolk, I'd say probably if you had vampires versus merfolk, the vampires are definitely going to be able to go wide, but are they going to be able to go wide enough that the merfolk aren't going to stomp them into the mud?
Yeah.
Okay? Pirates and the dinosaurs, like you said, there's no comparison here between these tribes. I want to delve a touch deeper into tribes in just a moment, but when it comes to the merfolk and the vampires, what are your thoughts on how they might fit into other formats? Commander and Modern in particular.
To be honest, we'll touch on this very briefly. I looked at some of the Vampire Lords. For example, in my pre-release, I managed to get the 3-mana 2/2 Vampire Lord that whenever a vampire attacks, he makes a 1/1 lifelink vampire token. And I was like, this is it. This is the best that we can do for mono white vampires. The best we can do for vampires, period. I don't see the vampires being or taking on a really great role either in any of the sets, to be honest. The best vampire decks right now, whether you're talking about in EDH or for kitchen table play, are usually red, black, or some combination thereof. Sometimes there's like a Grixis vampires floating around.
Not white.
Yes, never white. And to be frank, the white vampires in this set aren't good enough, I think, for standard play, and I don't think they're good enough to justify casual play. They're costly. They're not interesting. That's the thing. There's so much. This is such a vibrant set in terms of like what Wizards is trying to do with it. Like there's an entire subculture based on these dinosaurs. There are subcultures of pirates. that I really wanted to focus in on what clearly feels like and plays like those were the Wizards like design staff's first priorities were dinosaurs and pirates. And honestly, the more I play with the set, the more I look at the cards, the more I engage with other players, the more it feels like vampires and merfolks were just an afterthought.
When we're talking about tribes, there are several that have been in every set.
Yeah.
And they're not in these zombies.
No.
That mono black deck
Is dead?
it might not be though, because
no pun intended.
when you look at what Ixalan is going to do for standard, though, I mean, what is it going to do for standard? Everything costs so much. You know,
Yeah.
Mardu vehicles could probably still destroy somebody's building with even a quarter of the stuff in this set.
Yeah.
But you know, zombies. There are no zombies. There have been zombies in almost every set. There are 4 creature archetypes that didn't get used at all in this set that have been in every single Magic set since the very beginning, except for Antiquities.
Okay.
Homelands didn't have any originally, but one card got retconned to be a zombie. So you're talking about zombies, elves, demons,
Right.
and angels. Have been, at least some of those have been in every single set. And there are none of them now.
And see, that feels like a mistake to me. Because like zombies, I think would have been actually really good. Or
Zombies
honestly,
are awesome.
you could have done a really cool skeleton theme.
Yeah.
This is
Oh my
something.
God, yeah.
Sorry, minor flavor gripe here, but come on, Wizards, where are the skeletons? I've played Dungeons and Dragons my whole life. I know y'all have skeleton concepts. I know you do. What? Seriously, you could have done some sweet riffing off of Pirates of the Caribbean here. I want
I
a
have
horde
seen
of
enough
skeleton
Johnny Depp
pirates.
movies
Yes,
to know that this is something that should have happened.
exactly. Or where's a pirate dragon?
Right?
I want them to, like,
or a pirate skeleton dragon.
or a pirate skeleton dragon, or a pirate skeleton demon dragon. What?
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless if you have any combination of those. I'm glad there's no elves, though. I will say that. I'm actually glad there's no elves. But there's something I want to touch on a little bit because it's one of the big concerns, I think, moving forward for me primarily as a limited player. I think I know it's a big concern for you moving forward primarily as a standard player, is speed. The speed of this set is super, super slow. Even for sealed deck, this is one of the things that I noticed. A lot of my games that I would wind up winning, I didn't have a good play until turn 4. Usually, even in sealed deck, that is the sign of death. A lot of these things that are very, very powerful have been printed at like 7 and 8 drops. Burn is the question, or Ramanap Red, to be a little more specific, is the question on everyone's minds. And they did just wind up getting like 9 points of burn damage in this new set.
Not much else, but 9 points per
But
damage.
but a playset of lightning strikes to your face is still a playset of lightning strikes to your face, and it's not like they don't have weapons in Amonkhet either that they can sort of swap out.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you feeling about speed? We'll do standard perspective first. How are you feeling about speed?
I don't feel like the speed of this set, aside from a few cards, very few cards,
Yeah.
is enough to really look heavily at this set for answers in any deck that you're building. Any brew that you're making, unless you want a theme, unless you want to, even standard, we've got, as far as I'm concerned, we've got 4 sets right now that we can really pull from to do some major, I'm not talking kitchen table, have a lot of fun with the dinosaurs and kitchen table and the vampires and whatever you want. But when we're talking about, you know, decks that you're going to see winning Grand Prix and Pro Tours and things like that, there are going to be very few Ixalan cards in those for the entirety of its stay in standard, unless they continue with this trend and keep making high casting cost cards.
And I think they will. So if you slow a set down, a lot of the things that happen are it either loses to really quick aggressive decks like Ramanap Red, but I've seen some of the weapons that Dinosaurs has, or like a Dinosaurs deck or a Naya Dinosaurs deck, which seems to be the one that everyone's talking about potentially taking over, has some weapons against early aggro, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of weapons against stuff like Recursion and Torrential Gearhulk.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Serpapart printed in Amonkhet, I was like, that's an interesting card. And I was like, I don't think it's supported now. I was like, I wonder what that means for the future. And now that I have seen, I feel like one of those like preacher dudes, like, I have seen the eyes of the Lord, I've seen the mighty dinosaurs. But I have, like, I feel like now that I've seen the big old dinosaurs, having something that sort of shrugs off counterspells is really interesting, which means that you have a weapon in a long game. One of the things that I worry about is consistency in a set, and I have to tell you, Explore is a fantastic mechanic.
Explore is amazing.
Explore is amazing. It literally, it almost feels like it almost feels like a mixture between either Scry 1 or Draw 1 or Scry 2 sometimes, depending on what's going on with the set. I had a number of Explore cards in my sealed deck, and I absolutely loved them. It's across all of the commons and uncommons, and even some of the rares in the set. Every one of those commons is playable too, which I was surprised by. That's what I'm most pumped for, I think, as a limited player, is Explore. What are you most pumped for in Ixalan, Liam?
I think I'm most pumped for the alt win con for with treasures.
Okay.
I want to see if it can happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Treasure control?
We thought that having 8 artifacts was going to win us a lot of games a few sets ago.
Now, for those people unfamiliar with what Liam is talking about, you're talking about the mechanized production
Yes.
deck. Am I correct? So mechanized
Yes.
production is an enchantment which you put on an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, mechanized production actually creates a token copy of that artifact. And then when you have 8 of that artifact in play, you just flat out win the game. Now,
It didn't do so well.
no, it did not. No, it did not. Even with clues, it
Right,
did not do
yeah.
so well.
I really want to see if we can actually pull it off with treasures this time.
Yeah.
Even not trying to, I was getting 3 or 4 treasures out sometimes.
And this isn't sealed, where you're not necessarily building your deck, where you
Yeah.
didn't know what kind of cards you were getting.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
So hey, maybe this time we get an alt win. Now, Second Son, that was a great alt win.
I think
give
it's-
him that.
Yeah,
So
approach.
maybe we got another good
approach
one,
was awesome.
hopefully.
Yeah, dude, we could put
Uh,
approach and mechanized production in the same deck. I'm just saying.
Approach of the mechanized
Approach of the mechanized sun,
sun production.
mechanized second sun.
Production of the mechanized suns.
Sounds like a bad bootleg version of Ghost in the Shell.
I think
That
Debbie
sounds like
Gibson
what
would
we're
be-
making. I like it.
Debbie Gibson would be the major. The other thing that I'm pumped for would be I want to see if we can kind of reconfigure the black-white servos deck and make that work for vampires.
Would be interesting.
Anointed Procession, a bunch of vampires, and something. I haven't fleshed it out
Gifted
yet.
Aetherborn is still in the set. Probably the best
Yes.
vampire that's been printed in the last while, like an uncommon. at least.
There are also a couple legendary vampires that
Yeah.
that are still in the set.
I'm excited for dinosaurs too. Can we talk about there's a 6-mana 6/5 with trample that can't be countered and has hexproof
I was wondering if you were going to bring that
for
up.
6 mana?
Yeah.
Can we talk about how that's like played in Geopede's bigger and more angry cousin?
Yes.
Have you read the flavor text on that card?
I have not.
It's fantastic. They're like, oh yeah, all these Aztec guys, really experienced generals. However, the best plan is usually put the giant death dinosaur in the middle of the battlefield. I'm like, that's amazing, because that's exactly what this card is. Just play this and then swing 3 or 4 times. I'm excited for it. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but
Yep. Been a long and exciting weekend for us. Pre-release was awesome. I hope you guys got to enjoy it as well.
Go Team Dinosaurs.
Let us know in the comments if we're right, if we're wrong, if Kyle's hatred of vampires has put him in the crosshairs of every Twilight fan in existence.
You can fight me, Bella Fan 2499. I'm coming at you. Fangs less than scales.
Let us know what your favorite cards were. Let us know if you had any great combinations. Chat it up in the comment section. Remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and keep your eyes peeled for more.
Join us next time on Magic Stew, folks. Peace.